Welcome back to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and back in the studio with me is Kimberly McNabb. One of the things that we like to talk about on this podcast is family values, and nothing is more important to family values than the mother and father dichotomy that is prevalent in all successful upbringings of children. And unfortunately, if you saw last week's episode, Kimberly wasn't in the studio with us because there was a medical emergency. Kimberly, can you tell the audience a little bit about that?
So my father had a massive stroke 9 years ago that left him in the VA hospital. And so that is where he spent the last 9 years of his life, going from one VA hospital to another. I'm extremely grateful that he served in the military, not only because we're all proud of his service, but we've mentioned benefits that go with being in the military, and one of the few spoken about things are the VA benefits, and there are many flaws in the VA system, of course, but there is no physical or financial way my family would have been able to take care of my bedridden father for 9 years. And he had so many issues, instances of pneumonia, UTIs. He had sepsis at one point, bed sores, and in the past 2 weeks he had a case of pneumonia, and they mentioned renal failure as well. And so I went to visit and stand by in case he did pass after about a week. We have a 5 and 7 year old, so I needed to come back and help with them. And on Father's Day, I put my credit card into this place that we were going to for Daddy and the kids to have fun. And I got a call from my uncle. Then 5 minutes later, I got a call from my brother, and I knew what had happened. And so this weekend, we will be having the funeral for my father.
Yeah, and your father served in the Navy and was a chief petty officer.
Yes.
So, it's a very distinguished rank in order to achieve. And we've been together for 14 years, married 12, and I was very blessed to have met him and had him in my life as well. And, one of the things that we're talking about, just this coming off of Father's Day just a few days ago, is how important the father is in raising children. It doesn't matter what political spectrum that you are. Obama, he emphasized, having fathers in the home. The same thing for conservatives, really push to have a nuclear family. And, I know that we're going to be sending you back to Georgia and Alabama in order to have them buried in a full military funeral at Fort Mitchell, Alabama, just outside of Fort Benning, Fort Moore. And we're going to be, sad that unfortunately the children aren't going to be able to fly out there to make it. But I know that you being the senior child of him, you have a brother as well that's younger, but I think you've prepared a eulogy, and I thought it was so beautiful that I really wanted Kimberly to share it with you. Now she's going to read it obviously during the funeral, but would you like to go ahead and read it for our audience here?
Oh, thank you, Barrett. It is a rough draft, but this is my first shot at it. It would go like this. Good afternoon, friends and family. Thank you to everyone for coming today. My name is Kimberly McNabb, and I am the daughter of Robert Kite. My father, Robert Bobby Kite, wasn't just tough by being in the Navy. He grew up tough, and he took great pride in being tough. And he was always going, and he was proving that he was tough, and he was going along the way and making stories all along the way. And one of the more comical stories was he took my brother fishing, and they were on a riverbank fishing, and the dam released a bunch of water, and it swept my father away in the rising tide. So my brother had to go find him. And that was so typical of my dad. He was always making stories like that. And, while he didn't view life as a spectator sport, he would slow down just enough to tell stories. And he loved telling his stories. And he would also slow down just enough to teach valuable life lessons. And today we live in this crazy world where people walk around like just zombies, they're phone zombies. And even without the phones, I think they would be dead inside, empty of passion and purpose. And we also live in a world in which public figures are always saying, well, just to be clear and the sort, because they have to do all these mental and linguistic gymnastics to reach some touchy-feely conclusion. I think we could all use his life lessons. One, do the things you have to do before the things you want to do. And I don't care if you're 5 or 85, we all need to keep that in perspective. And while he didn't word it that way, he said, finish college before getting married. And I listened, even though I felt it was a little hypocritical because he did not go by that. I'm very glad that I did, because if I had not waited, I would not have realized that I needed to wait until I met the man I'm married to today of 12 years. Number 2, funerals are for the living, not for the dead. So, you're supposed to be there for your loved ones and their time of need. And, it may not always be something you'd rather be doing. Like a funeral, okay, let's face it, it's not the highlight of our week. It's sometimes pretty boring. And, you need to be there for your friends, your family, your community. That should be a greater emphasis than your feelings. And while he didn't word it that way, that is the moral of the story. Number 3, don't hold grudges. I'll admit it, he spanked us, and we probably deserved it. But the thing is, he wouldn't just focus on what we did wrong and harp on it. Within 5 minutes of the discipline, we could be playing again. So you make your point, lessons learned, move on, and it could be a better time together. So I think, don't hold grudges was the lesson of that. And it was a great example, because anytime I get a little frustrated with my kids, I'm like, nope, I think the lesson has been administered and taught, and we need to move on. And when I find my children are just going on and on and on about what the other sibling did wrong, I'm like, moment's done, move on. And if every parent knew not to just keep going on, maybe we could live in a world in which we would still be allowed to discipline our children in public. So Dad could see the big picture in life, despite feelings, despite difficulty. Dad knew that life was tough, but he knew how to laugh at it in its face and prove that he was tougher. And so, Dad, I just want to say we all love you, we all miss you, and you're always on the go ways, your stories, your lessons. And until we see each other again, make some stories, because we will be relishing them when we get there, and we will do the same.
I think that's very beautiful, Kimberly. I know you said that was a rough draft and that you want to work on it still, but when you read it to me, I said, this is so beautiful. We have to let other people share this as well.
Thank you.
And I think if you're saying this is a rough draft, then you have a professional writing career.
Thank you.
Because it is heartfelt. Your father, when we were dating, came out to Monterey, California when I was in the Defense Language Institute learning Arabic and French. We were out there in Kimberly's. We were not married. We were dating still, but Kimberly was living with me for those 2 years. And he came out to visit. And I remember we went to one of our favorite restaurants at the Fisherman's Wharf area there, and you had stepped away to go to the restroom. And your father gave me an excellent piece of advice that I will remember for the rest of my life. And his advice was that I marry you. And he said, look, Barrett, you need to marry my daughter. I think the two of you will do very well together, and I respect you. And, I'd say that was the biggest and greatest piece of advice that he gave me, because we did get married. And, it was kind of interesting. He was always that tough guy. And, for me, when you're family, you get a hug. And I remember we went to Country's Barbecue in Columbus, Georgia, and it was a big family event. And I was like, hi, Dad. And I went to go give him a hug, and he's like, whoa, I don't do that. And I was like, okay, lesson learned.
Makes me think of the World War II guys. They were celebrating D-Day, and so you have all these World War II guys in wheelchairs, and they're still these giants, right?
Sure.
And they're getting kissed on the cheek, and they're probably like, if I could get out of this chair, I'd slug you.
Yeah, exactly. But those are two of the fond memories that I have, and obviously there was a lot. He had a lot of great stories and things like that. But I'll be honest, Kimberly. I mean, as he reached the end of that 9 years after his massive stroke, I feel as though he's in a better place now. I feel strongly, and you and I have talked about this, that he's in God's embrace right now. And, I think that him passing away on Father's Day has, significant meaning. And I am very glad that we were able to get you out there to spend time with him before he passed, because I think it was only a 2-day period after you'd gone out there that he had passed. And so I was very fortunate that we had frequent flyer miles that we could use to pay for an airplane ticket to get you out there. But, I just, as I look back and the death of my father, unfortunately was just instantaneous, and he had a massive heart attack and nobody knew. And so I never got to say, anything to him, never got to say goodbye. I almost want to know if during the weekend, because we talked often on Fridays, if he knew something was wrong, because in our last conversation that we had on Friday, and he passed away on a Monday, and he let me know that, Barrett, I love you, and I'm so proud of everything you've done in the military, and just want to let you know it's going to be okay. And, you don't think about, okay, well, thanks, Dad. But I think that was his way of saying, I think something's wrong, and I'm going to pass away, and I just want to let you know everything, you're going to be okay. And so I am glad that you did get to see him and talk to him and spend time with him. Before he passed. But anyway, again, just the value of having fathers in our life, and having fathers leave us is obviously it's a very traumatic event, and the same thing for our children as well, to miss Grandpa. But still, it's it matters. And the reason that we wanted to talk about this just past Father's Day weekend, one, to let you know why Kimberly wasn't in the studio last week, but two, to honor the man, because he deserves to be honored. And as he gets his military burial with full military honors, I think he's earned it, he's deserved it, and I'm glad that our nation is going to honor him as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you again for tuning into Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.
So the CEO of a hot artificial intelligence startup won praise from other chief executives, including Elon Musk, after he announced a hiring policy that, get this, focuses on merit. Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb.
Alexander Wang, who founded Scale AI in 2016, shared on social media that his company has formalized an MEI hiring policy. Now, we have way too many acronyms. I mean, like I didn't get enough with you being in the military with all the acronyms. I never could keep up. But, you know, I've heard of DEI, we all have. I've heard some people arrange them into DIE, and then even IDEA. And then the latest one I heard of was IDEA with a B at the end. So I'm
belonging.
like, oh,
I think it was belonging.
yes. And so when I heard of MEI, I'm like, what? But no, this means merit, excellence, and intelligence. There's a novel idea.
Yeah, obviously that's contrasting to DEI, which is the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, you know, again, as you mentioned, the B getting added every once in a while for belonging. And, you know, that policy is popular at other companies. And they, you know, are wanting to say that diversity is their strength. But, you know, this CEO Wang, he wants the sharpest and brightest for what he wants to do. I mean, you know, just to be merit-based, I think is hugely important in a capitalist society. I mean, it's the best ideas that are coming forward. It's the smartest people that are doing the greatest good.
Well, I think those are especially important for what they do.
Right.
Scale AI helps other businesses that want to deploy AI models by providing human workers, I'm all for that, and software services that label and test the data used to train those models. Without good data, generative AI will fail to deliver accurate responses to user queries, which makes me remember Google's Gemini, which was a complete disaster. You remember, like,
Right.
Oh, show me the founding fathers. None of them are white or old or male.
Right. All black females in suits of armor.
or the like, totally inaccurate. So the CEO emphasized that Scale AI treat candidates as individuals, not representatives of groups.
Yeah. So Wang, you know, he had an interesting, you know, quote that he gave the news article, and he says there's a mistaken belief that meritocracy somehow conflicts with diversity. And he says he strongly disagrees. No group has a monopoly on excellence. And that is something that I completely agree with. I mean, when you talk about, you know, is one race better than the other? Do we need to have percentages of race better than the other? We're all human beings, and we all have the same relative level of intelligence. Some people, and it doesn't matter what your race is, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, some people are smarter than others.
Yes.
Some people are better at playing basketball than others. Some people are better race car drivers than others. Some people program computers better than others. And to have this meritocracy be the basis of what your company is founded on, it, you know, just makes sense. Now let's talk about, you know, the diversity. If a company deliberately excludes a race from their company because they're like, well, look, we just don't want to have, you know, greater than 7% black people, even though they're smart, we're going to exclude them, then they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
If you look at it on the flip side of what the current trend is, I believe it was United, like, oh, we want 50% of our pilots to be women or
Right.
people of minority races, you're putting a cap on the white people. Like,
Right.
if we were to put a cap on the black people, I mean, just always flip the script. You know, all this reminds me of this social media post by an influencer. She was saying, oh, well, when white people complain about DEI and they want to ban it, you know what they're really talking about. They're being racist against black people. I'm like, no, this whole DEI thing is what's really racist.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but to what I was saying, and my point was that if you deliberately are excluding somebody, you should be prosecuted. That's illegal. That's hiring people on a basis or not hiring people on a basis of race or religion or things like that. So I'm all for the merit-based, and Scale AI is not excluding people. He is just hiring people, and he's meeting individually with each new hire, and he's testing them. And this is a different kind of test where some CEOs ask, tell me about a time that you were fired, and his big thing is he never hired somebody that had never been fired before, that had that sting in the workplace. There's the CEO who does the dish test. Give him a cup of coffee, and what's he do with his cup of coffee after the interview's over? Does he wash it, or does he just leave it there for somebody else to take care of? So these are not the tests that he's doing. He's doing skill-based tests.
Right, ones that actually matter.
Ones that actually matter
in a job. I want to circle back to what you said. Some people are good at coding, some people are good at this, that, and the other. It kind of reminds me of this Mind of Mencia bit,
okay,
where he is racially profiling branches of the military.
Okay.
And it's pretty hysterical, but unfortunately it's back from like 2004 to 2006, so to find the clip's really hard. But what he was saying is different people are attracted to different things. So people want to blow up shit, so they might go into the army or go to the, infantry or something like that. And the Asians, they're smart, they want to fly the drones, and we get the best from all these different walks of life, and they come together and form the kick-ass military.
Right.
For the United States of America.
No, all those quotes that you use, those are actual quotes from the Mind of Mencia.
More or less,
yeah,
but it's been a while since I've seen it, but all of that remanded me of that clip.
It is kind of amazing that even back then, 2004, things are, the more things change, the more things are the same.
Well, yes, and a lot of this, CRT, Marxist kind of stuff, this, victimology kind of thing that we have going on, it's been a long time coming. So, we shouldn't be completely surprised by it.
Right. But, he's saying the way he's accomplishing this is he is casting a wide net for talent. And then again, just as we talked about, he objectively selects the best without any bias in any direction. He's not going to pick winners and losers based on somebody being right or wrong for the job, or based on race or gender and so on. It should be needless to say who is best qualified for the job.
Yeah, to say there's a wrong race or gender, that's kind of racist and sexist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, the CEO said that upholding meritocracy is not only good for business, but it's morally right. And I couldn't agree more. The biggest thing is, in a capitalist society where there are winners and losers, right, in business, and products and services have competitors all the time. And so let's just take a cola, and it's let's say dark cola, and to say flavor A or company A has flavor and company B has a flavor, and more people prefer company A's flavor, then company B is eventually going to go out of business if they can't. And so the company needs to either innovate and have a better product, or they're going to get phased out. And that's really kind of what meritocracy and merit is. Either you are the best at your job, and the next promotion will go to the person that's the best, and eventually you're stacking your company with all these great minds. And in a capitalist society, that's your competitive edge. He is in a software AI company. And so again, the competitive edge is smart people. That's really what it boils down to. Until AI can start designing themselves, and then we're all in trouble. But Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, tweeted out on X his total approval. But Elon is going to need to step up his arbiter of truth game on social media, because this guy is certainly the man of the hour, and I think a lot of CEOs are recognizing this. But good on him, and he's obviously going to be successful because he's hiring the best, and that's really what every company should strive to do.
Absolutely, and I love that he's keeping some humans in the mix to hopefully keep this AI in check.
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw this, and we wanted to bring it to you. So thank you for watching Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.
So I saw an article in USA Today that really caught my eye. Parasite cleanses are growing in popularity, but are they safe? Let's talk about this on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb. So as I'm looking at this article before I read it, it really looks like it's people that are potentially eating parasites in order to cleanse their body of toxins, and like what
Lose weight,
and so I know that the audience is like, well, how is that even possible? Because it used to happen in the past, and the very first thing that popped in my head are Victorian era parties that were occurring in England, where, like, similar to a Tupperware party or a Botox party, women would get together and they would eat tapeworms, live tapeworms, in order to have those parasites go into their digestive system and then help them lose weight. And so, because past is prologue, that immediately came to mind.
Yeah, let's learn from the era in which people used to put leeches on people
exactly.
for medical treatment. I mean, I don't know. I'm weird. Not that we can do it, but I wouldn't even do Botox just because it is a toxin, poison, whatever you want to call it. And when you first mentioned the headline to me, I was like, oh God, this is the danger of erasing history. People don't understand the full story behind some of these moral dilemmas that we have going on, and then you end up with these morons cheering for Hamas and people on social media praising Osama bin Laden, of all things. So that's what I first saw when you told me this title.
Right. And again, I was just taken aback because I saw the title and I was like, you have got to be kidding me, because, obviously we have all these weight loss drugs that are, and all these fads that are going on TikTok. And I literally was like, people are eating parasites again. And I don't know why it's a random fact that I knew that from history, that Victorian era, ladies would do these tapeworm parties. But anyway, when you're talking about a parasite, it goes inside your body and it lives off of you, providing no benefit. So it's not a symbiotic relationship. It's literally they are taking nutrients from your body, and usually it's to your detriment. In this case, the tapeworm, you're losing weight, but you can obviously die from that. But so anyway, as I read the article, and it talks about a parasite cleanse, it actually is people taking drinks and supplements in order to cleanse them and rid the body of parasites. And then I finally was like, okay, this makes way more sense. But the title, again, it caught me off guard. And as these products are not really regulated by the FDA,
no supplement is. So keep that in mind, people.
And so, what are some of these ingredients that these drinks that people are selling in order to rid yourself of parasites, like wormwood and things like various herbs, charcoal, carbon inside some of these things. And again, the ingredient list is varied, and there's no proof any of this stuff works. And so it's kind of interesting that it was geared towards, and I could see it. I could see it if it was geared towards like a third world country where the risk of parasites is real and common. But it's not. It's marketed to hipster, millennials that are here in the United States.
First world country people who are probably going to die more from over-treatment with their hypochondria than anything else.
Exactly. So, I mean, so who this cleanse would actually be for, they're missing the market. I would think that third world countries would be more advantageous to have those parasites where it could potentially work. But again, it's so uncommon here. I mean, you have to really do something dumb, like the family that ate bear meat and made it medium, or made it rare bear meat, and the family got sick. Or the same thing, if you're not cooking your chicken, you can get salmonella poisoning. We do see instances of various produce, oftentimes from other countries, that come to the United States and have salmonella or some type of contagion on them and stuff like that. But on the by and by, you're not seeing the massive parasites like worms and things like that you're seeing in third world countries.
There is the occasional case that you may see on some medical drama where
Sure.
someone, is an avid sushi lover, and then they,
Right.
find the 6-foot long worm after the person has a cardiac arrest or something. But all this reminds me of the probiotic or prebiotic, however you say it, a drink that I got the other day at Central Market. And it was not because I was deliberately searching for a probiotic drink. I was just looking for something that had low calories but more flavorful than water. And so then you said that the company of the manufacturer of the drink got in trouble because they didn't list like how much probiotic was in there. And I'm like, well,
Because again, that's not regulated.
exactly. Also, I mean, it's like, how much would you need anyway, So you just have no idea. So it's just kind of like a little boost, but I wouldn't make it the whole point of buying that drink.
Yeah, I mean, you have the probiotics and the prebiotics, and I think one of them is to feed bacteria. One of them is to introduce bacteria, and that actually kind of reminded me of a story. My great aunt and her friend were avid travelers, and they went to Africa, and both of them had contracted. I'm not going to make it up, but some type of major bacterial infection in their digestive tract. And so they were extremely ill. And this was 40 years ago, at a minimum 40 years ago. And the physician that they went to gave them an antibiotic that literally wiped out all bacteria in their digestive tract, good, bad, ugly, cute. Everything was gone, just completely wiped out all of the flora and fauna in their digestive tract. Now, obviously, we have good bacteria in our digestive tract that helps us digest various foods, but still killed everything. And then she had to take additional medicine to reintroduce those good bacteria into her system. And I just remember her telling me that story, and so it kind of stuck with me with this, that obviously you're wanting to, these prebiotics and probiotics, and, it's a huge advertising gig that is not regulated, and that people aren't accountable for how many grams of these materials that they're putting in. And obviously eating a well-balanced diet that has fiber, which is good food for these beneficial bacteria is good. But still, in talking about this bacteria stuff, the parasites were just absolutely crazy. And so for this to be supposedly a big enough need, because that's often when products come, they solve a problem, I think it's definitely marketed to the wrong nation.
Well, if you're in Africa, I think you need the real stuff.
I
like
agree.
your aunt got prescribed an antibiotic and the probiotic, whatever, introducing the good bacteria into the system. I've been on antibiotics a couple times, but never got prescribed anything to restore the gut health.
Right.
So I'm just curious, what on earth?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was
she
young.
prescribed originally, but these are just a bunch of hypochondriacs that just want to do some fad because they're bored and think, oh, something might be wrong with me. I mean, if you really think something's wrong with you, go to a freaking doctor, because these things can kill you.
Yeah. I mean, we were at a playground, and the kids were digging in the playground and everything, and I looked down and saw a white little worm about, 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters. And I took a picture with Google, and that this is the age of technology that we live in. So you open the Google app, you take a picture, and it tells you what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And in this
and it matched the description.
And it matched the description, and it was pinworms, and so we immediately pull our children out, and we took them to the doctor.
Yeah, within a week I had them at the doctor, and I had seen a couple medical dramas. I forget if it was House or The Resident or something like that, but a child had come into contact with pinworms. So as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, crap. And just remembering all the things that happened to these people. So, just as a measure of precaution, we told the doctor, and they were willing to give us medication that actually works against a parasite. And, yes, you may lose some weight, good for you, but if it's not treated long term, you could go into cardiac arrest, you can have blindness, seizures, and it's a pretty long list.
Yeah, no, I mean, even as we drive by that same park, our kids will point to the park and be like, "That's where the worms are," and I'm like, "Yep, sure is." But still, when I saw this article, it's the very first thing that popped in my head when it said parasite cleanse. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. People are doing this to try and cleanse stuff out of their body by using parasites. Because again, I don't know why that factoid stuck in my head about the Victorian era tapeworm parties and stuff like that. But still, I was like, here we go again. And then luckily, as I'm reading the article, it's anti-parasite food. But how plausible that it works and stuff like that. Obviously, if you feel you've been exposed to a parasite, go to a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we saw this article, and because of the the spin on it, it caught my eye, and we wanted to bring it to you. So thanks so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.